Hey guys, welcome to lesson 3, identifying proportional and non-proportional relationships in tables. So today we're going to be looking at a lot of different tables and figuring out if they're proportional, how we tell if they're proportional, and if they're not proportional. So on this particular question, if you've been hired by your neighbors to babysit their children on Friday night, you're paid $8 per hour. Complete the table relating your pay to the number of hours you worked. So, if you're paid $8 for every hour, what are you going to do to figure out how much you're paid? You're going to multiply. You're going to multiply your hours worked, which is here, times the $8 per hour. So take a minute and go through there and see if you can get those. Go ahead and pause your video and see if you can multiply all of the numbers in this column by 8 to see what the result is. Okay, so check your work to see if you've gotten these answers. So a question I've got, do you have to work to get paid? What if you didn't work any hours at all? So if you worked 0 hours, 0 times 8 would be no money. So no hours worked results in no pay. Based on the table above, is the pay proportional to the hours worked, and how do you know? So we're going to fill in this answer here. Okay, so yes, it is proportional. The rate of pay to hours worked is the same, which is 8, and the ratio here is 8 to 1. And so if we want to know our pay, then we have to take our hours and we have to multiply it by 8, because every hour is $8. You can also go in reverse and check the division here. So if this is y, divide y by x. And every single time that you divide this, 8 divided by 1 would be 8, 16 divided by 2 is 8, 24 divided by 3 is 8, 32 divided by 4 is 8, 36 divided by 4.5 is 8, 40 divided by 5 is 8, 48 divided by 6 is 8, and 52 divided by 6.5 is also 8. So if you get the same result here, you know it's proportional. And again, I'm shortening proportional to prop. Okay. Let's move over to exercise 1. So for exercise 1 through 3, determine if y is proportional to x and justify your answer. The table below represents the relationship of the amount of snowfall in inches in 5 counties to the amount of time in hours of a recent winter storm. So basically what we're trying to see is, did it snow in the same rate for those particular hours? Or was it heavier at one point and slower at another point? So here's what we're going to do. Your y's divided by your x's. And so if we're doing this, we do 10 divided by 2 would be, and 12 divided by 6 would be 16 divided by 8 would be 5 divided by 2.5 would be 2, and 14 divided by 7 would be a 2. Sorry, I was looking at my wrong problem and trying to do this one at the same time. So on here, once you've done those divisions, you check right here. Are all these the same? No. Which one's different? So for the first 2 hours, it snowed 10 inches total, which is an average of 5 inches per hour. But then the snow tapered off, and it only snowed an average of 2 inches per hour. So this is not proportional. Number 2. I want you to try to do number 2 on your own. So you're doing the same thing. You're doing y divided by x. And you're going to see if you get the same number every single time. This one's a little trickier because it's fractions, but fractions can simplify. So pause your video, take a minute or two to work on this one to see if it is proportional. Okay, a couple ways you can do this. You can do it with your calculator. You can do it by hand, or you can write it as a fraction and simplify. I think writing it as a fraction and simplifying, for me, is the easiest. So 2/6 simplified would be 1/3, because you would divide by 2. 3 over 9 simplifies to 1/3. 8 over 24 simplifies to 1/3. And 1 over 3 is already simplified. So each time we do this division of y divided by x, we see that we get 1/3. And so since they're all the same, it is proportional. So yes, cost, which is y, is proportional to days, which is x. Because all values of the ratio comparing cost to days is equivalent. And what is that value? 1 to 3. And so, well, what does that mean as far as if we added values to our table, or if we needed to calculate a different number of days? Well, x, which is your days, can be multiplied by 1/3 to get the y, which is the cost. And that's going to be pretty important in a minute when we need to figure out different parts of the table.
Miss Michelle?
Yes?
How do I get the Find Me printer to come up as an option to send my stuff to print?
It has to be installed.
Okay.
Yeah, check your email and see if you've got a drive for the Find Me printer.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys. Alright, let's look at this next one. Number 3. So this table below shows the relationship between the amount of candy that is bought in pounds and the total cost of candy in dollars. Obviously, we go in the candy store, we want to pay the same amount per pound. We don't want to pay more for the beginning amount and less for the ending amount. We want to make sure that it is proportional. We're paying the same amount for every pound. So we're going to check this table out and see if that happens. Remember, you do y divided by x. Since you're given y and x here, that makes it pretty easy. So we're doing 10 divided by 5, which would be 2. 8 divided by 4 would be 2. 12 divided by 6 would be 2. 16 divided by 8 would be 2, and 20 divided by 10 would be 2. Now, if all of these numbers are the same, then it's proportional. Same equals prop, okay? Proportional. So what that tells us is $2 per pound. That's also known as the what? Unit rate. We also are going to give this a new label. We're going to call it K, or the constant of proportionality. So we're going to talk about the relationship of X, Y, and K. So we could take any amount of X, multiply it by K to get Y. So we know that K is worth 2 here. Our unit rate is $2 a pound. So I could do 2 times X to get my total cost, which is Y. Well, let's look at the next one. Next one's a little bit more challenging. Go ahead and read it to yourself and see what you can figure out. There's different boxes to try to solve for. So take a minute, pause your video, and see if you can get this one. Okay, so Randy's driving from New Jersey to Florida, and every time he stops for gas, he records the distance that he traveled in miles and the total number of gallons used. Assume that the number of miles driven is proportional to the number of gallons consumed in order to complete the table. So we're already telling you that it is proportional. We're not asking if it is proportional, we're telling you that it is proportional, and we're trying to figure out some different things. So let's go ahead and label what we know. We know that the top one is X and this one is Y. We have to consume gallons of gas before the car will drive a mile, so Y is like the result. We've got 2 complete columns right here and right here that we can go ahead and do what we've been doing, which is to go ahead and divide and see what those values bring. So 54 divided by 2 and 216 divided by 8. That fraction bar means divide, guys, if you didn't know that already. So what is 54 divided by 2? 27. So 27 and 27. If it's proportional, then that means all of these are 27. So how do we go about trying to figure out this Y, and this X, and this Y, and this Y? Well, we've got to develop our formula. So we're going to have what's called our standard equation. So standard equation is going to be Y equals K times X. We know what K is because we figured out that we know it's proportional and we just calculated that it's 27. So we know that Y is going to be 27 times whatever X is. Now we've got some of these values in our table here. We've got this one, and this one, and this one. So we know those 3 X's, so we can use basic multiplication to fill those out. So Y equals 27 times 4. Y equals 27 times 10. And Y equals 27 times 12. So 27 times 4 is going to be 108. So we can put this in our table right here. That's Y. This one, 27 times 10. Well, if it's a power of 10, we just move the decimal 1 to the right. So we add a 0 on here. And that's 270. So let's put that in our table. And then the last one, Y equals 27 times 12, which will be 324. Okay, well, we've still got one left. In this one, are we solving for X or Y? We're solving for X. So we've got our standard equation here, and we have to figure out how to get X by itself. This is multiplication. And what is the opposite of multiplication? All right, division. So So if we divide on this side, we also have to divide on the left-hand side. So therefore our equation changes just a little bit. We want to take it from this to dividing on both sides of the equation. So on the left-hand side, we keep the y divided by k. And on this side, k divided by k would just be 1. So we have the equation x equals y divided by k. And you can change it if you like a left to right format. X equals y divided by k. So if I know y, I should be able to find x. So in this particular spot, I know that y is 189. I remember that k is still 27, so I can find x by just dividing 189 divided by 27. And x is going to be 7. That makes sense, since we're progressing in our table here. 2, 4, 7, 8, 10, 12. Tables do not have to go in order. You can put numbers in there. They do need to be increasing in value from left side to right side, but they don't have to be increasing in the same value. I don't go up 2, 4, 6, 8. I can have a 10. I can have a 7. I can have a 9 if I wanted to. They just have to progress in value from left to right. Okay. What you're going to want to do now is stop your video, show me your notes so that I can report that grade, and then you're going to work on your problem set and your exit ticket.